Welcome to the Internal Divinity Show with thought leader Lynda Lamp, uplifting and illuminating the divine in your life. In this confusing and clouded world, sometimes we lose sight of our blessings and the light we carry inside us. In the next hour, Lynda will show you the divinity that you have within you and give you the tools you need to let it shine forth. Become a force for good, strengthen your inner divinity, and help create the heaven on earth we all desire. The Internal Divinity Show starts now.
Hello, everyone. I'm Lynda Lamp, and you are watching or listening to the Internal Divinity Show, uplifting and illuminating the divine in your life on the Transformation Network. Stay with us for the next hour and let me help you experience a new way to look at the world and life. This is a call-in show. I am here to support you. If you'd like to call in, the studio number is 1-800-930-2819, and my wonderful producer, Jonathan, will assist you. Be sure you give him your phone number and email so I can send you a digital copy of my book, Walking Through Your Walls, Loving Yourself and Everyone Else. It's volume 1 of humanity's handbook for living consciously in the 21st century. And if you prefer a hardback or paperback copy, I'm happy to send that to you as well if you're happy to pay the shipping. So welcome to episode 7, which is the last episode of the Internal Divinity Show, at least for a while. I don't know if there'll be more episodes, but I will take a break for some time. And I've been yearning for interaction, and I'm not experiencing interaction here for whatever reason. But what I don't know is whether you've been watching or listening perhaps after the show in a non-live setting. And if that's the case, and if you would like me to continue doing these episodes, please reach out to me at questions@walkingthroughyourwalls.com and let me know, or you can go to my website, LyndaLamp.com, and that's LYNDALAMP.com, and message me there. Or you can always text me at the number that I give out, that 1-907-351-3003. You can text me or call me at that number at any time. And you don't have to worry about time zones. If I don't want calls on that number, I turn the phone down. So you're not going to wake me up in the middle of the night. Don't worry about that. So this fall, I want to let you know I am going to resume my podcast that I do with my co-host, Mary Ardania. That's called Let's Become a Beloved Society. And we take up each week on Fridays at noon Pacific time. We take up current events and topics, and viewers can submit questions for us to answer. You can look for that show on my YouTube channel, which is Lynda Lamp Illuminating Wholeness. And remember, it's Lynda with a Y. Or on my Lynda Lamp Facebook page, Lynda Lamp, those are probably the two best places. One of the advantages of that platform, or either of those platforms, is the ability to comment while you're listening, rather than having to call in. And I think based on my experience over the past year or so doing these various different platforms, I actually think that that's perhaps more convenient for people. Again, those live podcasts are on Fridays at noon Pacific time, and I don't know when we're going to start those back up again this fall, but if you sign up, if you go to my YouTube channel and sign up, then you'll get notified when new episodes are coming out, and you'll hear about them. You can also get onto my website, or mailing list rather, if you go to the website and sign up there. So today I'm going to talk to you about the challenges that we can encounter as we begin to embrace our spirituality. As we align with our internal divinity, we may discover or experience pushback from our friends or family, and because they want us to stay the way we've been. So today we're going to explore how to move forward in the most loving and self-accepting ways possible. And then I'll touch on some critical takeaways from this show that I'd like to leave you with. We are each each of us highly unique and unusual individuals. This point is one of the first things that humans get wrong. Because we look physically similar, we are in some ways the same, but each of us has a specific frequency that no one has ever had before or will ever have again. You have a unique frequency. We each have a unique frequency. Each life is the experience of true individuality and uniqueness. We are all one of a kind, divine beings in physical form, here to create and experience heaven on earth through our service to one another. Most people are asleep to the magnitudes of their greatness. Then there are people like us on a path of self-discovery and unfoldment. And what happens when we go home after a class or a Zoom call or we read a great book and we try to share the wisdom that we've gained with our loved ones or friends? Often we're rejected or ignored. The subject gets changed, or worse yet, they argue with us. These reactions can come from almost anyone, but may definitely be the case if people are highly religious. Why is this? Why do others need to put us down, reject our ideas and experiences, or try to change our minds when we share something of interest to us? There can be many contributing factors, which I'll get into, but first let me say this. I want you to remember one of the most critical takeaways of these shows. When other people speak, they are reflections of themselves. Even when they are speaking about you, they are reflecting themselves. The feelings their words bring up in you, that's about you. So please don't take their baggage on as yours. It's not. Your only baggage comes from within you, not from someone else telling you about your baggage. That's them projecting their crap on you. These are asleep people snoozing through life. Once you awaken to the dynamic and break the cycle of the chain of pain and their projections onto you, you will have done the one thing they're afraid of. You will have changed. Human beings don't like change. It's not in our nature. If we liked surprises, we wouldn't scream when they happened. Our bodies prefer stasis, and it follows that our emotions would prefer the same. The fear of change is the most gripping emotion humans contend with daily. Our egos, which is not the psychological Freudian ego, but the wiring of our housing, which is our primary ego, prefer the status quo and fear any change. Our egos fear any change that disrupts the familiar. So your family and friends may worry about how your spiritual unfoldment will impact your relationship with them. They may fear you losing the person they've known. They may fear an expectation of change on their part. And it's really fascinating because we naturally assume that our friends and family would be happy for our spiritual development or unfoldment. Still, it's most human to react selfishly in response to ourselves and our needs. And so instead of joy, they react from fear, which is a double-edged sword in that case, because it ends up pushing us further away than any natural unfoldment of our learning and experience might cause. So something else that will cause an adverse reaction is a misunderstanding or a lack of knowledge about your interests. When people are unfamiliar with spiritual growth or don't understand its process and implications, they may view your changes as puzzling or unsettling. They might incorrectly interpret your new practices, beliefs, or behaviors, which would lead to negative reactions. So your spiritual unfoldment may cause others to reflect on their lives, making them feel threatened. Negative reactions towards you help them avoid confronting their potential need for growth or change. If we know we're not taking care of something we should, the last thing we want is someone around us who is modeling the behavior we're avoiding. We'd prefer you to go back to being the way you are. Stop. Go back to being the way you are. So you are listening to the Internal Divinity Show with Lynda Lamp on Transformation Network. We're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we'll speak with any callers that have called in, and then we'll pick up where I left off. Remember, if you'd like to call in, have a comment or something you'd like to share or have help with, the number is 1-800-930-2819. If you'd prefer to text, you can use 1-907-351-3003. Stay tuned. We'll be right back. Hi, we're back on the Transformation Network with Internal Divinity Show hosted by Lynda Lamp. Please feel free to call in at any time. The studio number is 1-800-930-2819. Or if you'd prefer to text, you can text me here at 1-907-351-3003. Before we went to break, we were talking about how people will resist our desire for growth and really want us to sort of stay stuck in the past. And we have to break out of that, right? And all of this revolves around our beliefs. Various influences, including upbringing, culture, and personal experiences, shape our beliefs. And a difference in beliefs can result in tension or conflict. So this point loops back to the fear of change I spoke of earlier. Our relationships can become strained or even threatened when our beliefs change from those of our family or friends. It's a typical human behavior to project our insecurities or issues onto others. When we're uncomfortable with our spiritual state or lack of, we can react negatively to others' spiritual progress or to their requests for us to grow. Part of our fear is a fear of loss of a perceived common ground. If your spiritual changes lead to different interests and values or lifestyle choices, families and friends may fear losing common ground with you, and that will result in adverse reactions. But despite any negative reactions from your family and friends, you must not be overwhelmed by their responses. Follow your heart where it leads you. Find a support system to help you. Remember your mission to create and experience heaven on earth through service to one another. Don't let anything divert you from your mission. And don't judge anyone else for being unaware of their mission. We all have the same mission, but most people don't know that. So what are some tools or ways of coping with negative reactions of family and friends? Remember, adverse reactions reflect that person's fears, not your growth path. So when it feels safe to do so, be open in your communication. Explain your changes to those who seem concerned or confused. They may not understand what you're going through, especially when it's a spiritual awakening or a significant personal transformation. So be patient with them and try to convey your experiences and feelings in a way that they can understand. Please don't feel the need to rush their acceptance. Have patience and understanding, and be compassionate with others. People may react adversely to you because they fear the unknown or are uncertain about the changes they see in you. Understand that just as you need time to go through your transformation, they too may need time to adjust to the new version of you. Be sure to maintain your boundaries. While it's essential to be understanding and patient, you should also establish boundaries to protect your mental and emotional health. If others continually react negatively or become toxic, create a safe distance for yourself. One thing that can happen when your change threatens another's feeling of safety and security is that they may lash out at you. And one way of lashing out is gaslighting, which is when someone tries to convince you through twisted psychological methods to question your experience or reality. It's a way of convincing someone that they're losing their mind. It is cruel and manipulative, and it is considered a form of abuse. So if you suspect you are being gaslit or abused in some other way, you'll want to seek support elsewhere. You may discover you don't have the friends and family needed for your support, and in these cases, it can be helpful to seek support from communities, online forums, support groups consisting of people going through similar experiences. And sometimes volunteering can be a way to find those communities. Go find an organization that is focused on providing the kinds of needs that you're having and volunteer. And it's an instant way to bond and find community. So during this transition, as you embrace yourself, as you unfold and become your divinity, please remember to take care of yourself. While your friends and family are experiencing your change, so are you. Engage in activities that ground you. And such activities could include meditation, reading, time in nature, yoga, or anything else you find relaxing or fulfilling. Sometimes, despite all attempts, some people might refuse to accept the changes in you. It can be painful, but accepting this fact can sometimes be the most freeing action you can take. Remember, your journey is your journey alone, and you don't need to gain everyone's approval. You really don't need to gain anyone's approval. You are not here for others, but to be yourself, the self you choose. So this knowledge that you're here to be your version of yourself can fly in the face of what parents and other family members may believe. Sometimes parents believe that they get to say who you can be because they pay the bills, or they brought you here. That's a line my mother used to use. There can be an aspect of ownership that some parents evoke. And so expressing ourselves can be challenging when met with such opposition from people we love. And if you find that negative reactions from loved ones overwhelm your mental health, consider seeking professional help, such as a therapist or a counselor. They can assist and supplement your coping strategies and provide a safe space for you to express your feelings. Remember, everyone's journey is unique, and everyone awakens in their own time. Trust your process, have patience, and be kind to yourself and others. Don't try to force your awakening on others either. The best way to convince anyone else is to live your best life. Model the behavior and experience you wish others to acknowledge. The saying, they have to see it to believe it, is true. You have to acknowledge, you have to have new knowledge, and you will have new knowledge once you have seen something with your own eyes and not just heard about it in story. So as in all moments of life, you want to remember why you're here and what you came here to do. If you can hang on to why you came here, which is to experience heaven on earth, and what you came here to do, which is to create heaven on earth through service to others, all the rest of it will fall into place. Hold these thoughts. Holding these thoughts will set your frequency, and the rest is just numbers. Life is a mathematical miracle. When you attune to the frequency of your life, you open up every floodgate, every door, every opportunity for the universe to step in and show you the abundance of the heavens. You are not you. You are the all that is, having an experience of you. You are the creator and the experience. You are divinity made manifest to have an experience of being you. There are no wrong answers. There are no wrong choices. There are no wrong questions. There is only the experience and the meaning you choose to give it. Because this is one of the critical takeaways. Nothing has any meaning other than the meaning we give it. Life is about the experience. The divine energy of creation doesn't assign the meaning of things. Things are creations, and what happens to the things are experiences. We all came here to do the same thing while having different experiences. Unfortunately, the costumes we made, our bodies, the housing of our soul and spirits, our meat suits, as some have called them, are wired not to want new experiences. I've spoken of this. Our bodies and our egos, the body's wiring, prefer stasis. Change is not embraced, but feared. The unknown is scary and to be avoided. This fear of the unknown and resistance to change are some of the consequences of creation, as I like to call it. Who knew when we thought up the human form that it would come with these built-in features that we didn't order? It sounds as if I may be joking, but I'm serious. Our bodies are not the most helpful things or best designs we've come up with. Lots of other species work better than we do. Think about it. We have appendices that just rupture, teeth that rot far too quickly, eyes that fail, often far too young. These body and tonsils that need to come out. Ridiculous things go wrong with these bodies. These bodies are prone to many diseases and disorders, including cancer. And while many cancers are environmental, some are emotional. Why would we make a body that would attack itself? Think of all the autoimmune disorders. Another critical thing to remember is the additional malfunction of creation, the instant forgetfulness of our purpose from the very first human beings. Yes, I'm referring to Adam and Eve. We'll take a pause. I'm Lynda Lamp, and you're watching or listening to the Internal Divinity Show on Transformation Network. If you want to call in, the number's 1-800-930-2819 or text 1-907-351-3003. Stay tuned. We'll be right back. We're back on the Internal Divinity Show with Lynda Lamp on the Transformation Network. So just before we went to break, I was talking about how with Adam and Eve, they instantly forgot why they were here. Their coming here was no different than any of our coming here. We all agreed to the same thing. They agreed to be the first people to come here and create and experience heaven on earth. through being in service. But the other momentary flaw in our creative process was that darn talking snake. Whose idea was that? So as soon as we realized the inappropriateness of talking animals, you'll notice we limited language to humans and some birds. But they can only talk once someone teaches them. They don't tend to talk on their own without training. It was already too late, though. Adam and Eve, through the unintended consequence of the effects of gravity that caused their amnesia, and the snake that shouldn't have been talking, the plot of the play to create heaven on earth was already far off script. It was only the seventh day and the first day of humanity. And here we are today, thousands of years later, still trying to get back on track, still trying to get all the cast members back on the stage, participating in the same play, creating and experiencing heaven on earth with the same plot by being in service to one another. And instead, what we have are free will sideshows that have seemingly taken over the planet. Fear and loathing, competition, lack and scarcity, the devil and evil are all stories that fill our airwaves and electronic devices. One sideshow worthy of touching on this last day of Internal Divinity is the concept of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Ghost. I hate to say this because I know it will sound offensive to many people, but I am a way shower, a light bringer, a myth buster, and a truth teller, so it must be said. Religions have done more to hurt humankind than to help them. Religions are a means of control. They do not tell the truth about what we are, but present their perverted stories as a way to keep us in the dark about the truth of creation and our internal divinity. They have forgotten their divine nature and can't allow others to pursue theirs as a result. They fear the consequences of others' enlightenment and unfoldment. What if people really could do as Yeshua, or Jesus as you call him, suggested? Miracles and even more. What kind of a world would that be? How would those who have forgotten make their divinity, make their money? How would they survive? What would get left for them? That was what they feared. And so the need to control these enlightened ones became their mission. And we live to this day under these archetypal arrangements and agreements. Think of it. Yeshua so threatened them that they had to kill him and several of his disciples. What had he done? What had he done? He hadn't killed anyone. He'd only healed people. He demonstrated miracles and suggested that others could perform the same and even bigger miracles. And what got done to him? He got murdered. Many people are under the impression that Yeshua came here to start a religion. He didn't. He came here, as I have come here, and as so many with me here now on earth who came here through the ages. All the mystics and sages throughout eternity have all come here with the same purpose, to get us all back in the theater, on the stage, in the play, create heaven, create and experience heaven on earth with the plot through service to one another. Instead of following Yeshua's lead, I don't know what this note says, he got turned into an idol, right? Instead of following his lead, he got turned into an idol. And people began not to practice his teachings, but to worship him, somehow believing that their worship was somehow following his teachings. They have it all wrong. And regarding the Father, the Son, and the Holy Ghost, the Trinity, as people call it, what's important to remember is that the teaching of the Trinity is a teaching from separation consciousness. In a very true sense, the words, they are all the same thing. The Trinity is simply a way to describe the same three things in different ways. The people who created the teachings of the Trinity don't understand that that's what they're doing because they're living in separation consciousness. They don't see and are not teaching from a place of oneness or wholeness. But once you embrace oneness and wholeness and the understanding that everything is divinity in form, that we are all the same stuff, presenting ourselves in different fashions, your experience of life will change. You can't reconcile this idea of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Ghost from the place of oneness because it's from a place of separation consciousness. This lack of unity consciousness is one of the reasons I've had such a hard time in my life with some of the various cultural teachings. I'm thinking specifically of things like Hindu and Buddhist teachings and all of mythology. I rarely resonate with any religion because almost all stem from separation consciousness archetypes. The Quakers, the Society of Friends, is the only religion I'm aware of that truly separates itself and understands the oneness and teaches it. Because most religions are not from a place of oneness and wholeness. So I'm very resistant to learn them, even to be conversant. And I've often wondered what my resistance has been, but I see it clearly now. I am the way forward. I am the way to the theater, to the stage, to the script of creating and experiencing heaven on earth. You are a magnificent being. You are the experiencer, and you are also the creator. Everyone here on earth, we are all the creators of our experience. All right, now I want to say a word to the trauma community. I am in no way suggesting that you created or are creating the abuse you may be experiencing. You do not create the events. However, you do create your response. So your reaction may be one of hardwiring of your body, but your response is what you create. Some people will claim they have no choice, but this is untrue. In every moment, there is a space for choice. It requires that you become mindful. We are living through a co-creation of life on earth as we know it. However, we are not living and experiencing the creation of heaven on earth because too many of us are off expressing our free will in our forgetful state of sleepiness. So as I leave you today, I hope you'll carry these words with you and allow them to guide you to your path, your part in this great play. Who do you want to be? What is the greatest, grandest version of yourself you've ever dreamed of? This is a question Neil Donald Walsh asks his students all the time. He's the author of the Conversations with God book series, and he generously shares the wisdom of his conversations. Who do you want to be? What makes your heart sing? What makes your eyes light up? What makes you feel on top of the world? I can't encourage you strongly enough to follow your heart and pursue your dreams. Nothing is stopping you but yourself. You might think there are things in your way, that you have some lack and scarcity for some reason why you can't pursue your dreams. This belief is based on the appearance of things, not the reality of life. The reality of life is that everything around you wants you to succeed. Perhaps not all people, but everything else. The force of the universe has your back. All you have to do is learn how to connect with that force. And that force is your internal divinity. So embrace the mystery that is the life you live. The movie The Matrix is a lot closer to the truth than fantasy. Break out of the fog. Recognize your connection and divine nature, and embrace the play of creating and experiencing heaven on earth. Get back into the theater and on the stage. Look at how you can help make this world a better, more peaceful, harmonious, and compassionate place. Make this your number one priority. Wiggle free of the grip fear has on you. Embrace the unknown. Accept all that is in the divine order at all times. It can be no other way, since there is nothing else. You are it, and you are bringing the meaning of everything to it. Sorry about that. Hang on a second here, real quick. Okay. Well, there's a little throat chakra action there going on. This is the Transformation Network, and I'm Lynda Lamp with the Internal Divinity Show. We're going to take a quick break, and we'll be back shortly. Stay tuned. If you'd like to call in, the number is 1-800-930-2819, or you can text me here at 1-907-351-3003. Stay tuned. We'll be right back. We're back on the Internal Divinity Show with Lynda Lamp on the Transformation Talk Radio Network, rather. If you'd like to contact me outside of this show or follow my work, you can go to my website, lindalamp.com, and that's LYNDALAMP.com. You can send me a message there or schedule a meeting. Or if you visit my online store, which you can get to from there, but you can go to directly as well at lindalamp.shop. Again, LYNDASHOLAMP.shop. You'll find hardback, paperback, and digital copies of my book, Walking Through Your Walls. You'll also find my private session calendar, and there are opportunities to sponsor my work if you'd like to do that. So before we went to break, I was saying to get back into the theater and on the stage, look at how you can make this world a better and more peaceful, harmonious, and compassionate place. Make this your number one priority. Wiggle free of the grip fear has on you. Embrace the unknown. Accept all is in divine order at all times. It can be no other way, since there is nothing else. You are it. You bring the meaning of everything to it. Sure, perhaps some others have defined certain things. Perhaps, let's use crime, for example. But you still bring the meaning to that. What does it mean to you? Because with free will, you can decide that the definition of crime is meaningless. Now, what does that mean? It means you're probably going to make your life more difficult. But do you see my point? It's up to you. You decide everything about what things mean in relationship to yourself and to your experience. In fact, there was a news story today that illustrates this point perfectly. An American politician, Tommy Tuberville, claims that the term, I mean, I'm laughing while I'm telling you this because it's really outrageous. He claims that the term white nationalists is the same as being called an American. So this suggestion is the kind of self-serving behavior that we're seeing increasingly in today's society. This guy has made up his definition of the term, and he refuses to accept any other ideas or facts. Because the fact of the matter is, if you look up what white nationalist means, it means you're a racist, you're a misogynist. It's a terrible definition. I'm not going to go into it. But it does not mean you're an American. It actually means you're an anti-American. It's everything that America doesn't stand for. So he's got it really twisted, and he's sticking to his guns. He could have just said, oh, you know, I really I made a mistake, but he's not doing that. He's doubling down. We've all agreed to stop at red lights with our vehicles because movement around this planet would be impossible without some form of collective agreement. But when individuals ignore the collective agreements, we have conflicts and wars. Mr. Tuberville is at war with the media today over his mischaracterization of the definition of white nationalist. So what I see happening around the planet, particularly in America, is a degradation of the number of people willing to participate in the peaceful form of government we've previously enjoyed. So I've recently seen a surge in selfish, self-centered behaviors, and I'm not talking just tourists. It's the general population. It's as if we've become unhinged. And there's an insanity that's consumed America from the unfettered capitalism that seems to have overtaken us like a fast-growing fungus. Little matters in corporate America other than the almighty dollar. And many people don't realize that the function of a corporation is to make money for their shareholders. It's not as if there's an ethics clause in most corporations, and most corporate shareholders couldn't care less how their money's getting made. Their only care is that money is getting made every quarter, more and more. Couple this ignorance with the impacts of Citizen United, which allowed corporations to act like people, and we find ourselves in our current condition. Giant corporations suck up the profits towards their shareholders, creating those same profits by lessening the quality of their lives, not their lives, but of the lives of their employees and their value to their customers. And one of the largest corporations that I can see failing right now is Apple. And people will go, oh, what are you talking about? But let me tell you, I have some serious stuff going on with some of my equipment, and the level of care that I have received is dreadful. I give it a 0 on a scale of 1 to 10. Google, same thing. I have a ridiculous problem, can't get any help. So this era is the beginning of the end, and I don't mean to say this in a doomsaying way, and I'm not saying it to frighten you, but to rather enlighten you. Forewarned is forearmed, as the saying goes. We are living through the collapse of society, of civilization, perhaps. What does this mean? What does it mean when the new AI technology can lie to us and we won't know? This sure seems to me like the end of times. But remember what I've said all along. Don't be afraid of this era. You came here to be here for it. Embrace it. You get that, right? You agreed to come here to live through this. So what's happening isn't what matters. What matters is, who are you being? So to answer that question is the only thing you need to come up with. It's not about what's happening out here. It's what's happening in here. It's the only thing that counts. I want to leave you with some insight about Yeshua, or as you probably call him, Jesus. We all agreed to come here to play our part. Yeshua also agreed. No one expected things to go the way they did. With his power and demonstration of miracles, we all thought that people would choose to remember their internal divinity, as Jesus demonstrated it to them over and over again. But that subplot didn't play out. Fear and loathing gripped those in power. How could they control the peons if everybody could perform miracles? They never once stopped to think, what if they could perform miracles? So we all know how the story goes and what happened to Yeshua, the crucifixion, the rising from his dead. What most people don't realize is that Yeshua is here with us. He's available to all of us, to anyone who can open their heart to the oneness of humanity and all of life. I say this with personal experience, and I don't mean I've had just one personal experience, but I've had multiple personal experiences. I now understand that he is always with me. He has always been with me, but it wasn't until I opened my heart and to the possibility and dropped my 3D perspective. I allowed myself to transcend the physical plane, which allowed something new to show itself to me. We are that which creates. We are a part of the whole. We are the all that is. Jesus, Yeshua, Buddha, Muhammad, the Mother Teresa are all also a part of that same whole. We are all one. The big difference with Yeshua, the thing that sets him apart from all the other sages and mystics, is that part of what he signed up for in the play was to make himself available to everyone. Anyone, whoever calls his name, he is there. In theory, all the mystics and sages are there because we are all one. But Yeshua signed up to get invoked. The others maybe not so much. And so don't be afraid to call his name when you are lost. If you need guidance, trust me, he's there. So if you have a situation you would like assistance with, please send me a text or an email or reach out by phone. I'm happy to help. I am here to be in service to you to make your life better. We are all seeking peace. Peace is my mission. Peace and joy are our birthrights. I've had a wonderful time with you during these past 7 episodes, and I hope you found the information I shared interesting and helpful. I'm Lynda Lamp, and I want to thank you for tuning in to the Internal Divinity Show on the Transformation Network. Until our paths cross again, much love and namaste.
Thank you for joining in on the Internal Divinity Show. As we view our world through a new lens of understanding, we discover our inner light and power. When enough of us receive clarity about life, heaven will begin to show up. Come back next time on the second Tuesday of the month at 4 p.m. Pacific Time for more inspiration and instruction on unleashing your inner deity. To learn more or to contact Lynda, visit www.lindalamp.com. That's www.lindawithawlamp.com.